I know there have been discussions around generative AI and what it means for photography, but I wanted to talk this time about what it means to you as the client. So, as I said, I was going to talk about contracts as part of these podcasts, and that's what I want to talk about today. When you have your contract with your photographer, certain things can be laid out in the contract. Now, for me, I have two contracts. I have the contract for the shoot so that we both understand what's expected during the shoot itself. I have a separate one if I want to use any of the images. I just feel that keeping them separate makes more sense, and it doesn't make the person feel that they have to provide the images for me to use in my portfolio. I think that's especially important when we're talking about boudoir photographs. But what if your image is used in a generative AI? Now, there's ways that it can be done. One is to take the face, for example, and paste the face onto another body. Whatever generative AI creates for a body, it then overlays the face. So, needless to say, I have a problem with using images without permission. Even if it's generative AI based. Now, what I would use a image from a client for as far as generative AI is if I have a particular pose that they're using. I may want to use the pose where I'm not using them. I'm using the positioning of their body. For those of you who aren't familiar with things like open pose, it takes the positioning of the body and replaces it with lines and dots. So what's being used are the lines and dots that trace out like where the knees are, where the feet are. You can even get down to where the fingers are located. And those can then be manipulated if you want to change things up a little bit. And that is using the image, but not the person. It'd be the same as if you just overlaid it with black and use the black outline of the body. But I think it could be dangerous without it being specifically spelled out in the contract that the image not be used in generative AI. And the reason I say that is generative AI allows you to create images with and without clothing. So somebody could do a photo session and remove the face over to a naked image and post that image or sell that image or put it in lingerie or do a whole bunch of different things that I feel is up to the user to, or the client, I should say, to be the one who says what it can be used for and what it can't. So when you're dealing with a photographer, go through the contract very early and line by line. And if it doesn't say something about generative AI or what else the image could be used for, you can just say no, that they can't use your image at all. That's always an option. You do not have to surrender the rights to your image and how it's used, I should say, to anyone just because you're having a photo session done. But if you get a contract and the contract talks about how they're going to use it on their portfolio, for example, make sure that there's a clause in there about what can be done with generative AI and what else can your image be used for. I think it's very important that you make sure that that is clearly defined in whatever contract you sign. And that's what I got for you this time. I'll talk to you guys about generative AI from the photographer standpoint next time.